You know, when I was a kid growing up in the 80s and 90s, I, like a lot of my peers, collected football and baseball, all sorts of sports cards, right? And these right here are some of my favorites. But you know what they all have in common? They're all basically worth nothing. Because I have come to find out only recently that my era of card collecting was referred to as the junk wax era. And I have become aware that card collecting is no longer the affordable and accessible hobby that it once was. So I just did a whole video without a mic on, recording absolutely no sound whatsoever. So here we go again, because it's just as well. I said a couple really stupid things in the other one, so maybe this is the universe giving me a little blessing, in disguise. But no, I remember when I was a kid coming up in the 1980s, 1990s, like most kids my age, collected football cards, and some of the other guys would collect baseball and basketball, but I mainly stuck to football. But you could find them anywhere. You go into any store, any gas station, any drugstore, and they were readily available and they were cheap. I mean, like 75 cents to $1 a pack. If you're really getting fancy with something like Upper Deck or Top Stadium Club, you might be spending $2 to $3 a pack. But the point is, they were attainable. And well, that's because they were mass produced like hell. This is what I've come to learn. And that's the reason they printed millions and millions and millions of every card. And that's why none of them, to this very day, with a few exceptions, have any real monetary value. Well, I stopped collecting probably around 18, 19 years old. Never thought about it again too much. And ever since, I've still got my card collection up in the attic, and I have no inclination of getting it down because I know good and well there's nothing of value in there other than its nostalgic value. But I've come to learn that the sports card market is way different than it was when I was a kid. I got into buying off Whatnot about a year or so ago, and mainly video games. But, I'd check out other shows, and I got to watching sports card shows, and there were cats in there that were spending like 500, 1,000, 2,000, $3,000 on like cards, and some of them were sight unseen. And it just absolutely it blew my mind at the time. So I have a friend who, I'm not going to speculate on his financial situation, but I know it's a lot more comfortable than mine. And he posted one time about a card that he had pulled off of Whatnot, off of a show. And it was some limited edition autographed by Kobe Bryant card. And he spent $6,000 on it. And folks, that was not a one-off for him. He routinely buys cards like this. And I can't imagine living in that world. But so I asked him, because he's still a good friend of mine. And I said, hey, man, what's the deal with cards? I'm like, it's like I have, thousands of them up in my attic, and what's going on. And he informed me that those cards were from what is known in the industry now as the junk wax era. And of course, the junk, they produced way too many of them, law of supply and demand, right? Way more demand than supply. And there you go. But now the sports card market has become more of a speculation driven collectibles market, so that your major card manufacturers like Topps and Panini, and they're creating these, heck, just watch this video.
Number 2 here.
I mean, you see that? Like, it's not like a foil pack like you open. No, this sucker is already slabbed. It is already in a thick plastic case with foam protecting it. Okay, so you already know it's a Babe Ruth card. It's just
Uh-oh. Oh, what is this? No way! No way! No way! There's Babe Ruth!
and it's guys like this that I only today have a term. They call them breakers. Most of y'all probably already knew this. I didn't, and it blows my mind. This video is mainly for folks like me that just haven't paid any attention and been living under a rock as far as it pertains to the card collecting industry for about 30 years. Well, the term breaker, I guess they're called this because they will buy entire cases of cards and they will break them open on these shows and then, sell them, auction them, whatever it is they do with them. And I've come to understand that they are actually buying the bulk of what is produced in terms of the specialty card market. And it's to the point, again, I think it's speculation, but from what I've read, your card manufacturers cater to these people and purposely will sell them the bulk of whatever is produced, mainly because they get attention called to their brand, because a lot of these guys are social media influencers. But I guess in my world, we just call them, well, we call them, resellers, or even worse, we call them scalpers. That's what it is when you buy the bulk of inventory of an in-demand product and then flip it for obscene profits and basically drive anybody of lesser financial means completely out of the market. Now, I get it. It's not illegal. There's a lot of people out there who'll say, well, hate the player or hate the game, not the player. I kind of hate both. If you're the sort that wants to have a legitimate chance at, maybe scoring a really cool autograph or something like that, you're pretty much going to be stuck with paying the secondary market fees. And it's so scummy to me. And these cards are so much more specific, right? I remember the occasional, limited edition card coming out when I was coming up. Classic used to make a line of college football cards of, stars for various schools that were destined for the NFL. And I remember one time I cracked open a pack that I'd bought at a local grocery store and opened it, and I got like a 1 of 15,000 gold embossed Drew Bledsoe card. And you have to understand, at the time, Drew Bledsoe was going to be, he was going to be basically the guy that replaced him. He was going to be Tom Brady, right? Well, that never came to fruition, but at the time, the hype around this dude was real. So, and he ended up having a pretty respectable career, right? But I was so stoked to be like one of the only 15,000 people in the world that were going to have this card. It's not worth squat. I still have the card, but it's not worth a daggum thing. But these cards are way more specific than that. As you can see in this video now, I don't know what archive that Topps dug into to obtain this autograph, and I can't tell if that's a piece of a baseball or if it's a piece of a document. But they're really, really ramping up just, and these cards are cool. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to have one. And I'm seeing cards that's got like pieces of baseball bat, pieces of jerseys, of football leather. And it's like, some of these guys, they'll even have like hairs. I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if I tuned in one day and it's going to be like, oh, look, it's a Mickey Mantle card. And this is one of Mickey Mantle's pubes glued to it. And it's 1 of 5. And they'll probably sell it for some ridiculous sum. It's just, I don't know. What do y'all think? To me, it's scummy as hell in a lot of ways. I guess if you have the means, I can't fault you. But if you have the means, what are you doing for a living? I'd really like to know. Are you like human trafficking, selling drugs? Like, are you moving bricks for El Chapo? Like, maybe I should ask my buddy who seems to have that Midas touch with everything he puts his hands on. Anyway, I know this is a little unusual for me, but hey, the title of the channel is Pick Your Battles Collecting, and it's not just about collecting games. So, as usual, speaking of that, pick your battles, because not every hill is worth dying on.
Being strung out is not a game. So if you're thinking about using crack, don't do it.